Hello and welcome to Underpaid Gamers Podcast. I am one of your hosts, Justin. Sitting with my good friend and colleague, Tony. Hello, Tony.
Hello.
How are you?
Hello. I am good.
In today's podcast, we'll be talking about the Star Wars Battlefront Beta, as well as a recent game swap Tony and I have done between Metal Gear Solid 5 and the oh-so-illustrious Witcher 3.
Yep.
So, that's what we're talking about.
I got some news based on movies, Netflix, Nintendo specifically, and some other games. So stay tuned.
Play the music! So, in the news,
I have a whole bunch of things, and you don't know anything about them.
I don't.
So I'm going to talk about it. Okay, the first thing I have on news, which is old news now, is the turkey version of IGN.
Turkey. Not the chicken version?
Not the bird.
What, oh.
The
country?
Yeah. I almost said planet.
Yep.
The turkey planet. No.
Okay.
The turkey country announced the new Far Cry game about 12 hours earlier than Ubisoft wanted to. Have you seen the trailer for it?
I have not seen the trailer for it.
Far Cry Primal is what it's called.
Primal.
Which, when I look at it, I think is lame. It's essentially, from the video, it just shows, like, it's a hunter-gatherer society.
Oh, how exciting.
Back in, like, 2000 BC.
Shoot.
So it's just, like, woolly mammoths and stuff like that, and there's these hunter-gatherer societies that have spears and bows and arrows.
Yeah.
But
and you run around with a gun?
I don't know. I don't think you have a gun. Now,
this is Far Cry we're talking about.
Bow and arrow is the most fun part of Far Cry 3 and 4. But that's only because everybody else has guns.
Exactly, because you feel super bad when you walk around and you've got a bow.
Right, and it's super stealthy and it's awesome. However, I mean, they have throwing spears, so that could be cool. But I don't know. They have to do something to keep the gameplay fast and exciting, because otherwise, like, you might be able to ride a woolly mammoth, because riding an elephant was cool, I guess.
It was definitely cool.
And riding a woolly mammoth would be cooler.
Because you've got huge freaking tusks.
And it's furry.
And it has a beard. The whole body's a beard. Beards are
But how do you keep the game going fast? Like, fast-paced?
I have no idea.
A history of Far Cry. I've played Far Cry 2, 3, and 4.
Okay.
There was an expansion to 3 that made it like an 80s style video game.
Really?
It was like set in space or something weird like that. I never played that. I don't remember what it's called. Blood Dragon is actually what it's called. Nice. A lot of people say it was really good. I never played it because it looked stupid. But however, Far Cry 2, for people that haven't played it, that came out on PS3, and Far Cry 3 are vastly different, whereas Far Cry 3 and Far Cry 4 are almost exact copies of each other. Mm-hmm. Far Cry 2 was very, like, survival-based. Mm. So you're in Africa, and you're going around and your guns can jam, like, literally all the time. Mm. So you get dirt and stuff in your guns. You don't have a mini-map. You have to pull out, like, an actual paper map, which you can walk around with, but you don't have any way to defend yourself.
Do you know, does it indicate where you are on the map when you look at it?
I think so.
Okay.
I haven't played in a long time.
That helps.
But, like, when you're driving a car, it's only in first person, which is difficult.
It is very difficult.
But also, the only way you can find out where you're going is if you're driving in first person while holding up the map while driving.
Oh my
Super difficult. The guns jam. There's this really cool feature where you, like, get, like, partners in the game. Mm-hmm. Or say you're fighting some rebels or whatever, and you die, your buddy will come by and, like, revive you somehow, and then your buddy will fight with you for the rest of the fight. However, if your buddy dies, then they're gone for good.
What type of buddies are we talking about? Are these only human buddies, or
yes.
do you have, like, other types?
No, it's only humans.
Like a dog. I'm thinking a dog.
No. Just humans.
What about a super mutant?
No.
What about a giant robot?
No.
I like Fallout better. Alright, sorry.
It's different, though, because, like, Fallout is RPG-based, and Far Cry still has that
more of a shooter, I'd say.
Shooter gameplay mechanic.
Yeah.
But Far Cry 2 is much harder than Far Cry 3 or 4. Far Cry 3 and 4 are just like a playground. Like, you just go around and shoot things, whatever you want to do. Far Cry 2 is super hard. Mm-hmm. You die super quick. Everyone has bullet sponges.
Yeah, I definitely feel like you become very powerful in Far Cry 4 pretty quickly, and you can get some pretty awesome weapons. They make everything pretty easy. It doesn't become, like, it definitely starts off a little difficult, I think, before you have any money.
Yeah.
With kind of the weapons that you are stuck with in the beginning. But once you start getting some of those fancy weapons, I just nothing was difficult, which was fun because I could just like run around in the little helicopter thing and like shoot the grenade launcher down and do stuff like that. And that was fun, but in terms of challenging, it wasn't a very challenging game after the first couple hours.
I hardly got past the first half of Far Cry 4. Far Cry 3 I played all the way through, and it was a fantastic game from start to finish. Mm-hmm. Far Cry 4 was essentially a carbon copy. It was like, well, this isn't intriguing. I've already played this.
But what's the difference? Or are there any differences at all? Is it the setting?
The games are different itself, but the gameplay is like exactly the same. Mm. So going from Far Cry 2 to Far Cry 3 is completely different. But the mechanics in Far Cry 3 and Far Cry 4 are super similar. Okay. There was a villain in Far Cry 3 that kept me going. Mm-hmm. Voss, one of the best video game villains I've ever seen. Yeah. Pagan Min is in Far Cry 4, and he just doesn't capture me.
He's crazy. He's a little bit crazy. I never played Fallout 3. Far Cry 3, sorry.
You never played Fallout?
I never played Fallout. What? No. Far Cry 3, you never played it. Far Cry 4 was the first jaunt of that series for me. So my entire experience of Far Cry was definitely in that. And I enjoyed it. I thought Pagan Min was pretty kind of... He was a cool character. I thought he was like crazy evil dude who thinks that you're his friend, but you're really not friends. And
see,
just kind of maniacal.
Pagan Min is like half of what Voss is. And I think you should play Far Cry 3. Because I'll let you borrow it. It's fun.
Just like Heavy Rain?
Yeah, you can play that too. Because you still have it.
I still do.
Anyways, on to Nintendo. You didn't know about this, but I found out recently, Games Radar posted an article. Nintendo has so much money.
How much money? How much money?
Thanks for that setup.
I set that up.
Specifically, they have so much money that if they lost over $250 million every year, mm-hmm. they would still be profitable until 2052.
Holy cow.
So they have 813 billion yen, which is about equal to $10.5 billion, which they still make money on, obviously, with amiibos and stuff. But if they didn't make anything, if they just stopped mm-hmm. doing things, they would be good until mm-hmm. 2052.
Yeah, I've been surprised reading articles about Nintendo's kind of business strategy, because I remember they had like surprise profits at one of the quarters this year. I remember reading that they were surprised that they actually broke a profit that quarter, and it was all because of amiibo sales, which makes sense because people go crazy about amiibos. Don't understand why.
Listen, I want a Marth amiibo, but they're like $60, where other amiibos are like $13.
Yeah, no, it's crazy. It's one of those collectible things that I'm not sure in the long term that it's going to actually stay collectible. I don't know how I feel about it. But either way, that's crazy. That's job security if you work for Nintendo.
Right.
You're not going under.
So much.
Not anytime soon, at least.
However, along with that, Nintendo, I think, for the first time, ever since it came out, has been out of the top 100 best global brands list. Does that make sense?
The list.
So, the top 100 brands. It's no longer in the top 100. So there's companies like Coca-Cola, Toyota, right. McDonald's, Apple, Amazon, Samsung, IBM, Microsoft, Google, stuff like that. Yeah, Nintendo was up there, names, yeah. But Nintendo's not anymore.
That still surprises me, because that's definitely still a household name that people know. And I get the feeling that it's such a loved brand. It kind of surprises me that it's no longer top 100.
It barely made it in 2014, so we're in 2015 now, and I guess...
I wonder if it's tied to the... I wouldn't say complete failure, but...
To the Wii U?
Yeah, to the lack of sales on the Wii U. I wonder if that has a connection.
I mean, Nintendo's president died, and I feel like that affected stocks, which might have affected things, but even though we just talked about Nintendo's going to have all this money, they're still... They might have surprise profits, but they're not where they want to be, or where they used to be.
They're not... I don't think they're in a position of growth right now.
Right. Destiny announced microtransactions.
Oh, I hate Don't tell me it's play to win. Please don't tell me it's play to win.
You haven't heard about this either?
Okay, wait. Tell me about it.
Okay, so starting tomorrow, October 13th, Destiny is introducing, the weekly reset, always on Tuesday, is setting up microtransactions, so you can buy dance moves.
Dance moves?
Yes. So, in Destiny, you can emote, and it's always dancing, or saluting, or bowing, or sitting down, or...
Okay, so it's all cosmetic stuff.
Yes.
Okay,
so I'm cool with that. You can't buy the Vex Mythoclast, or whatever is the best gun now anymore.
See, I'm 100%, 110% against microtransactions when it comes to pay to win. I hate that.
Well,
or pay to win faster.
But if you're in a Destiny dance off, technically it's a pay to win.
That's true. I think there are some exceptions, and I think a dance off would be one of them. I'm okay with cosmetic microtransactions.
Yeah, that's not fun. That's not bad.
It could be a lot worse.
Games that have done microtransactions poorly. Call of Duty Advanced Warfare.
Yes.
Where you could buy the advanced supply drops and then get all the advanced weaponry.
Mm-hmm.
People spent so much money on this.
I know. It's so dumb.
Like thousands. They've like they had to. I don't have the facts, but I assume they like tripled their profits because people buy a $60 game and they spend thousands of dollars trying to get the best guns.
Uh-huh.
That's incredible. I don't know.
It's a good business model, but I don't think it respects gamers. I don't think it's consumer-minded.
Oh. What do you mean? They're making money.
Microtransactions are not consumer-minded. Like, getting you to spend more and more money on a game you already purchased. Like, I mean, consumer-minded would be something that gives you the most value for the littlest dollar.
Well.
It just seems like they're just milking us.
Maybe.
I'm not a cow! I'm a person.
That's right. Or a goat.
I am not a goat.
Or a coconut.
Or, can you milk a coconut?
You crack it open, there's milk inside.
I know there's quite enough milk in it, but do you call that milking the coconut? I'm getting weird pictures in my head. From this milking the
Anyway, so Destiny has microtransactions, but they also announced that there's not going to be any more paid DLC until the next Destiny expansion comes out next year, which everyone's assuming is going to be Destiny number 2.
Year 3?
Well, which will be the start of year 3.
Start of year 3.
So we're in year 2 right now.
That's pretty good. That almost makes me want to buy it.
Yeah, except...
Keyword there, I said almost.
Except the Taken King just came out, so people paid for all that.
Yeah.
But how much expansions are they going to have between the Taken King and Destiny 2?
Yeah.
To where they can say it's free and it's worthwhile.
Who knows?
Because if it's really good, then maybe I'll get back into it. But the reason right now I'm not into it is because there wasn't enough to do in the core game, and
Correct.
They charged you $20 for Crota's End, which is the first one. $20 for the Wolf of Wall Street, and then now they charge you $60, maybe $20 or $60 more for the Taken King.
Yeah.
So that's over $100 I'm spending on 2 different games.
Correct.
One game, but
I mean, I know they're dropping a raid, or they dropped a raid.
The new raid is legit, though.
I've heard it's amazing. And I heard Crota's End now is so easy.
People say Crota's End is more like a strike and less like a raid.
Yeah. Which is interesting to me. Because I remember when it first came out, I found it difficult.
The Crota's End was super glitchy. I don't think I've ever beaten it correctly.
You didn't?
But that's also kind of when I stopped playing, just because I was like, Crota's End was a new raid that I paid money for, and it didn't work at all. There's glitches all over the place. And people, instead of people fighting it the way you're supposed to, they find glitches and then they break it, and that's how they try to beat it. And when those glitches don't work, they quit.
I mean, that's kind of how it was with Vault of Glass. I felt that way too. There were so many cheeses you could do against
the Templar.
Not the Templar. Well, the Templar
Atheon?
one and Atheon, you could make them fall off the map.
Atheon,
which
you could beat
before.
with 2 people, and it was awesome.
I don't know if we did it with 2 people, but we definitely made them fall off the map.
But Atheon, I think the Vault of Glass is still number 1 raid.
You think so?
Yeah. It was
even without playing the new one?
Yes.
Interesting.
But I haven't played the new one.
I don't know how valid your opinion is, but between that and Crota's End, but we're not here to talk about Destiny.
No, we're not.
We've got more news to cover.
Rocket League is adding Halloween decals for the Halloween season.
Decals?
Yeah, I don't know when those are coming out. I assume there will be like a pumpkin face on an antenna.
That sounds like a good idea.
They already have a pirate hat that you can put on the car, which is also kind of Halloween-y.
Love it.
There's also a witch's hat, so I don't know what else they're going to add. But
yeah, the pumpkin I think is a good bet.
I believe it's free DLC, so that's fun.
You gotta love it. Love free DLC.
Rock Band 4 has announced all of their new songs before the game came out. There's a list of everything new. However, on the previous Rock Band games, 1 through 3, the contracts have expired.
Oh no.
So some of the old songs that have expired contracts, you can't play anymore.
What?
So I think it might either be DLC based or specifically disc based that you can't play those games anymore. Or those songs.
I don't think I like that.
I don't know how that works.
I don't either.
I don't know why they got a contract for just that little bit of time.
It seems like weird
but
copyright laws.
It blew my mind. Like, how do you have this and then have it not work?
I know.
When was the last time Rock Band came out? Like,
I know. And
10 years ago?
My initial reaction when you said that was, Rock Band? Who still plays Rock Band?
Right. Rock Band 4 is coming out. or is out.
So that's in the news.
There's no microtransactions in Battlefront Star Wars.
Star Wars Battlefront?
Battlefront Star Wars EA.
EA.
That thing.
Didn't do microtransactions.
They say no but also Call of Duty, when they announced the supply drops, also that said it wasn't going to be paid microtransactions. So we'll see what happens.
I mean, again, I'd be okay if it was like, pay us some money and we'll give you some cool skins for your Stormtrooper. Like, I'm cool with that. I'm not cool with, you can only access this super cool gun in this multiplayer mode if you pay us extra money.
Yeah.
Especially because I'm probably going to buy the deluxe edition and drop like way too much money on it in the first place.
Definitely. But we're going to talk about that later.
Yes.
Xbox One is finally trying to catch up with PS4. Xbox One controllers will soon have button mapping. And in case you didn't know, because it's kind of under the rug, PS4 already has button mapping on all their controllers.
Yes.
You go to settings, go to devices, you can change whatever button you want on your controller.
Good guy Sony.
So I think they launched with that, or is in their 2.0 update, and they just released a 3.0 update. So
it's
like a year.
It's old news, is what we're trying to say, Xbox.
Xbox, well, they have button mapping. They also have that new Elite controller coming out that has paddles on it, which also supports button mapping. So they kind of just screwed sales on that one by releasing button mapping for all the controllers.
Yeah.
But obviously Xbox doesn't know what they're doing.
Xbox is doing classic Xbox. Being behind the curve, getting a bunch of crazy people together saying, look how cool Xbox is, but it's really not that cool. Shooting themselves in the foot. That's something we've seen multiple times.
You had that Xbox 360.
I did, and I sold it. And I switched to the good side.
I didn't. More recent news, Bryan Cranston, who is the actor of Hal from Malcolm in the Middle, also slightly known for Walter White in Breaking Bad.
Interesting.
Lesser known character.
Yes.
He talked about Marvel. He said he would join and be in a Marvel movie if they specifically made a villain for him.
Yes, I heard about this.
So they have to create a whole new entity just for Bryan Cranston, which
they should.
I think would be awesome.
Please do it, Marvel. I know you're listening to our podcast.
Yeah,
and you should definitely make a character. You can even call him Bryan Cranston. Like that can be his pseudonym.
I assume they're making like Walter White.
Yes,
the White Wizard.
The White Wizard. And he sprays methamphetamines on people, and it makes them start tripping. And that's
Bryan Cranston is awesome. He was in Godzilla, and people only went to see him in Godzilla. And I find out that he's not in Godzilla that much.
He's really not.
I haven't seen it, but I heard that spoiler alert. Spoiler alert! He dies within like the first 20 minutes.
He does.
So people go to see it, and then they're like, "Well, he's not here anymore, so I quit."
Yeah, it was an alright movie.
More Marvel news.
Red box it.
Daredevil Season 2 teaser came out.
Oh, I love Daredevil.
It looks good. In the teaser, it shows a little recap of Season 1, which is awesome. It shows a future, what's going to happen next season. Elektra is shown.
Elektra
and the Punisher is teased. I don't think it was actually shown. They show some people with guns and stuff, which obviously is what the Punisher does.
Yeah, he does guns.
But we'll see that. And then that's coming out in 2016. I assume early 2016. I'm not sure.
Let's hope so.
And then I just read this today. Indiana Jones 5 is coming out.
I don't know how I feel about this.
With Harrison Ford.
I still don't know. I love Harrison Ford. And I love Indiana Jones. However,
but the first one was so bad.
Was mediocre. I mean, it was alright. But
I didn't read anything in this article about Shia LaBeouf coming back.
Shia LaBeouf. Shia surprise!
Also, Harrison Ford is like 80 years old.
I know. I
don't know how he's going to do anything.
I think they're trying to churn out all these last movies before he dies.
Well, he hasn't announced anything yet because Star Wars hasn't come out.
Exactly.
But Star Wars has come out. I think Spielberg is doing it with Harrison Ford, which is why they're teaming up again.
Yeah.
But it's Harrison Ford and it's Indiana Jones 5, so I don't know what's going to happen.
You know,
they tried to reboot it once.
He got injured on the filming of Star Wars, and he also has crashed his plane twice. Now, I think Harrison Ford is a boss, and I think he's probably still pretty physically fit. Maybe gritty.
Listen, here's a weird story. I saw a picture of him with his shirt off recently.
Lumpy?
No.
Buff?
Like
freaking old person ripped?
The biggest six-pack you can have for an 80-year-old man.
Dang, I'm not surprised. I mean, he crashed his plane and he survived. But I still feel like he can't keep playing with fate. And I think all these old action movies, like, it's not... He just needs to move on.
Listen,
but I love Harrison Ford, so I can't say no, don't do it at all. But I'm hesitant.
In Kingdom of the Crystal Skull, he got into a refrigerator to survive a nuclear blast.
Right.
People equate that to jumping the shark, which is a term. Do you know what it is?
Jumping the shark?
Yeah.
When you jump over a shark?
No. It is, in Happy Days, the Fonz.
1, 2, 3, 4, Happy Days!
Exactly.
That one?
Yes.
Gotcha.
Henry Winkler plays the Fonz.
Hey!
In a later season, he's skiing, and he jumps over a shark.
Uh-oh.
And then ever since that episode, like, the whole season has gone downhill.
Oh, no.
This is one of the really popular episodes or really popular shows at the time.
For sure.
So when people see things that are really good and then they fall apart, they call it jumping the shark. So anything after season 4 of Dexter, he jumped the shark.
Oh, yeah, definitely.
Anything, the Kingdom of the Crystal Skull, they equated the refrigerator to jumping the shark.
Oh, man.
There's a joke in Arrested Development where Henry Winkler actually jumps over another shark, which is funny. But
did the show go downhill after that?
No. Well, maybe a little bit.
Maybe.
But Arrested
determined.
Development is hilarious.
There it is.
It's good. Okay, that's all the news I have.
That's the end of the news segment.
So now we're going to talk about what we've been playing all weekend.
Oh, man.
Which is the Battlefront Beta.
Oh, man, this has been so... I have been anticipating this for so long. I'm a humongous Star Wars fan.
Nerd.
I've been since I was a kid.
Nerd.
If you've been listening, you know I just finished reading Star Wars Aftermath. I just sat down one of my friends who hasn't seen the original trilogy, made her watch them all the way through.
Did you make her watch it like they do in Clockwork Orange? Where you peel her eyeballs open?
Yes. I took paper clips, and I clipped her eyes open in a non-painful way. That sounds like torture. I did not do that. She actually watched it on her own accord. But she came over, we finished it, watched all 3, boom. I'm so excited for Star Wars Episode 7.
Bada bing, bada boom!
I am going to love it. I am all about it. So Star Wars Battlefront was announced, and I was sold. So the Battlefront beta came out.
Battlefront 2 was one of the best games for
on
PS2.
the PS2, yes, I agree. Definitely my favorite, probably the game I put the most hours on in terms of shooters on the PlayStation 2. I don't think there were any other shooters I really played much. I played some Medal of Honor, some World War II stuff.
But once you beat the campaign in Medal of Honor and Call of Duty, there's nothing more to do.
I know. All you can do is go back through it on harder difficulty.
Right. But Battlefront had so much extra content.
So much.
So there was Galactic Conquest, where there's different planets in the solar system, and those planets represented different levels of the game.
Yep.
And you would go through and you would choose a spaceship to travel the planet, and you would go to a planet, and then if someone else met you on top of the planet, you would have a space battle. Or they would meet you on the planet itself, and you'd have a battle on the planet. And whoever won that battle won the planet.
Yep.
And Galactic Conquest was to capture all the planets.
So it's kind of like Risk, to an extent. I mean, it's like that It's almost like when you're not playing a match, you're in like a board game type thing where you have like all the planets out and you just kind of move troops around. So that's exciting.
I played that literally for weeks with me and 3 other friends. It was 2-on-2. Yeah. So it was 2 real people playing against real people, and it was all split screen. Yeah, we just play all night. I'll go over on a Friday night,
good old split screen
start at 8 p.m. and not quit until 6 a.m.
There it is.
It was the best, and we'd never get any ground because all of us were just as good as each other. Mm-hmm. It was super fun. There were bots in the game.
There were lots of bots,
like Titanfall. Titanfall had a lot of bots. So when we played, it was teams of, you had 250 ticks. Ticks represent how many soldiers
stock,
you have.
Kind of.
Stock. So you would have 2 players on each team, so 248 bots. Mm-hmm. However, there's only ever 16 bots on a map at a time.
Yeah, so as you die, you deplete your resource of stock.
So if a bot died, we'd then be down to 247. Exactly. If I died, we'd then be down to 246. Yeah. So your deaths count as well as your bot's deaths. However, because we didn't play on the hardest difficulty, me and my friends would only ever get 2 deaths, and that's only when we saw each other. So all the bots would die. It would be 2-on-2 on the whole planet, and then whoever won that won the planet.
I think one of my favorite things is going to Geonosis and getting in some of the big machines and being an engineer on the big war machines. And I would just run around, and I literally would never die, and I would get so many kills. Yeah, it was so much fun.
Anyway,
that's the old Battlefront.
Yes, that's what the new Battlefront has to live up to. Well, that amount of hype and that amount of joy, and that's what people thought of when they announced that EA and the Battlefield team, DICE, was making Battlefront.
Yeah.
Star Wars.
They were. I mean, you can't say that people aren't going to be comparing it to the old stuff, and so there's some controversy there. But overall, the beta so far for me has been pretty exciting. I've liked what I've played. There are 2 modes on it. There's drop ship.
There's 3 because there's that.
Oh, there's survival. Yeah. So there's 2 multiplayer styles. There's Walker Assault, which is the classic Battle of Hoth with the walkers attacking, and then is it drop ship? Drop zone. Drop zone, where these kind of like escape pods fall down from the sky, and you have to capture them before the enemy team and hold them for a certain amount of time to get a point.
Yeah.
So both modes, I think, are distinctly different in terms of the speed of play.
Drop zone is 8-on-8, so 16 people.
Mm-hmm.
Walker Assault is 20-on-20.
That's huge.
40 people. So there's big differences there, just based on how many people are playing.
Yeah.
But go ahead and explain more, because I think you liked it more than I did.
I definitely like it more, but I think part of that is just because I'm a huge Star Wars geek, and I recognize that. But let me tell you why I like it. First off, hands down, this game is beautiful. Like, there's nothing you can say that would tell me that game's not beautiful. You get, on the Drop Zone map, you get the first look at the planet Sullust, which is mentioned in the original trilogy, and it's mentioned in the books, but you actually never see it. And so Star Wars and Disney allowed EA and DICE to create the first visual rendition of Sullust that is canon. It's a volcanic planet. I like the color scheme in it. It is very...
browns.
What?
Brown.
It's black and brown and gray. It's a volcano planet.
Right.
And I like it because that's like distinctly different than Hoth, which is the other map you play. So you kind of get contrasting zones. You get
indoor.
like...
But we didn't play.
We didn't play indoor.
But indoor is green.
Indoor it will be green. I'm assuming...
Based on the Washington trees. Redwoods.
The Redwood Forest.
I almost said Redskins.
Yep.
Which is not a tree.
The Washington Redskins were not were not indoor.
Right.
That whole battle scene, that no football players were injured in the making of that. They weren't even filmed. I don't know what I'm saying now.
So Battlefront looks good.
So Battlefront, visually stunning. So one of the things that I think is getting a little bit of flack is with Walker Assault, specifically, where basically 2 AT-ATs, which are the huge walkers, they walk across the map, and the rebels have basically 3 waves where they can do damage to these walkers. And the goal of the rebels is to destroy the walkers before they get to the end of their track. And the goal of the Empire is to defend their AT-ATs until they can shoot the shield generator. And so it is definitely, by far, more difficult to be a rebel and win than it is to be an Imperial and win. The Empire side has the advantage in it, which makes sense story-wise, but gameplay-wise, it just seems a little bit unfair. I don't mind it because that just means, like, I expect to win when I'm the Empire and when I'm the Rebels. If I win, I feel so excited because I'm like, yeah, look what I did. I fought the Empire and I won.
I have something to talk about this because I came across a recent discovery last night after I quit playing.
Oh, yeah?
However, before I quit playing, there was this time where, so like you explained, the Rebels have 3 different waves to stop the AT-ATs.
Yes.
And the only way you can do damage to the AT-ATs is because they have shields.
Yes.
You go up to these command posts and you capture them. Mm-hmm. And if you hold that command post for a certain amount of time, a Y-bomber will come in. Y-wing will come in, which is also a bomber.
It is a Y-wing bomber.
And will hit the shield on the AT-AT, which knocks out the shield.
Yeah.
And then you can shoot the AT-AT with rockets,
with your
grenades,
handgun, like
with
literally anything.
Guns, satellite turrets, tower turrets, whatever.
Yeah.
So you have 3 options to do that, and every time you capture a command post and it charges up all the way, you get another Y-wing.
Yes.
So the more Y-wings you have, the more damage you do to the AT-AT, and the longer that it has shields down.
Yeah.
So it's very hard to hit the AT-ATs with just regular bullets because you don't do a lot of damage.
Right. It takes it takes an entire charge to do like 5 damage.
5% damage.
Like 5 points of damage.
There's a percentage meters on each AT-AT that tells you how much left. Yeah. So that's nice.
Yes.
However, we didn't talk about there's also aerial combat.
There is.
So there's TIE fighters versus X-Wings, there's A-Wings, TIE interceptors, and snow speeders.
There's some snow speeders, yep.
So that's really fun. However, you don't get a snow speeder to the very end of the level,
yes,
where the AT-ATs are just about to hit
the
shield generator. And when the AT-ATs hit the shield generator, it destroys it, and the rebels lose.
Yeah.
You also get to play as Luke Skywalker and Darth Vader. So there's that. So this is essentially everything that you can do in the game is in this level, which is why they put it in the beta.
Yep.
However, one thing that was really cool was me and 2 of my friends were playing last night, and the AT-ATs made it to the last wave.
Yeah.
They were about to destroy the shield generator.
Yeah.
One of the AT-ATs has 50%.
Yeah.
One was at 15%.
Mm-hmm.
So I got in a snow speeder right before the Y bombers came down and knocked out the shields.
Yeah.
I told my 2 teammates to shoot at the one that had 15%.
Yeah. And
then once the shields get knocked down on the AT-ATs and you're in a snow speeder, you get the chance to grapple it like they do in the movies.
Yes.
So they're shooting the AT-AT while I'm grappling the other one.
Yeah.
The first one goes down. The one at 15% dies.
Yeah.
The second one, I'm still grappling. Still has 50%. So the only way we can win is if I take this down.
Yeah.
And when you grapple an AT-AT, it brings up this little mini game type thing.
Yeah.
Very similar to like a Tony Hawk Pro Skater. Like when you're grinding, you have to keep your board in line.
Yeah, or like you're manualing across the map.
You have to keep it up and down or whatever. You got to keep it within the center.
Yeah.
So it's very similar to that, where you keep it. It's a vertical thing where you press up or down on the analog stick, which keeps your snow speeder in a specific location.
Yeah.
And then if you do that all the way through, there's 5 different levels of it.
Yeah.
The AT-AT falls down.
And so it's like an insta kill.
Right. So we were 5 seconds away from losing. The first AT-AT fell down.
Nice.
I was in the middle of grappling it.
So
and I'm like, oh, guys, I got it. I was yelling, I got it. And then finally the last little hit, and I knocked down the AT-AT. And it was 2 seconds left from losing.
Didn't you love
and
it?
We're like, oh, we
was
won!
that the best feeling? Freaking Rebels.
It was super fun.
Gotta love it. Rebel Alliance.
However, as soon as I got off that night, I looked at some stuff, and I found out it's actually very easy to win as Rebels.
Really?
Yeah. Throughout the game, there are these power-ups you pick up on the level.
Yeah.
They give you, rocket launchers. They give you...
mini shields.
Mini shields, thermal imploders.
Yeah.
Little mines you can throw on the ground.
Yeah.
They also give you a orbital strike. And the orbital strike is you pick up your binoculars, you select a piece of land, and you hit the fire button, and these just giant lasers come down from the sky.
Yeah, it's very visually pleasing. As well as the imploders. The
thermal detonator or thermal imploder is my favorite.
Imploders. They have the sickest explosion right now. Pause this. Go look up a small little video of it. It's amazing.
It's so cool.
Visually pleasing.
However, I found out
Tell me about it.
If you hold on to an orbital drop or orbital assault strike,
orbital strike,
and the Y bombers come in, and you hit the AT-AT with an orbital strike, does 75% damage.
Oh my gosh, what have I been doing with my life?
What people do now is they just go through the power ups, and once they get an orbital strike, they cycle through them.
Yeah.
Once you get an orbital strike, you just hold on to it till the Y bombers come up.
Yeah.
Everyone hits them with the orbital strike, and then the AT-ATs fall apart.
Nice.
So when we play on later tonight, which we're going to do, which you already agreed to.
I did agree to it.
We're going to do that strategy and see if we can win. Because I saw, generally, you can't ever win until the very third wave. Almost based on the way that we did it, where you have to kill one, you have to travel the
occasionally by the second wave you can kill one of them, and then the other one you can finish off in the last wave.
Right. However, people have been winning on the second wave, the first and second wave, destroying both of them because of the orbital strike.
I've never experienced that strategy used, so I'm excited to try it out.
Try that. Because also the dish turrets do a lot of damage to vehicles.
They do quite a bit.
And the tower turrets do a lot of damage to infantry.
They do.
So the Empire has a whole bunch of weapons at their disposal. You can get an AT-AT and shoot people, also call in an orbital strike from the AT-AT.
They can also do an AT-ST, which is the smaller two-legged little walker dude, which I got some pretty sick kill streaks with that thing.
Those things destroy. And then also, again, TIE fighters, TIE interceptors. So they can kind of control the skies, and if they control the command post where the Y bombers are, they pretty much win.
Yeah,
but if you get I haven't tried this orbital strike strategy yet, but I'm pretty sure it's going to do really well.
And I thought I was wondering the importance of owning the skies in this game type, because at first it didn't really make much of a difference in terms of the couple few games I played, but I ended up getting, I think later on, some people started really developing their skill at fighting airplane mode, starship mode, and dogfighting, yes. And if your team has good pilots in those TIE fighters and those X-Wings, you can dominate the game. I remember there was this one match I played where I literally got killed by a TIE fighter probably 6 times.
As an infantry.
As an infantryman. Which is so, like, when I've been able to get in a fighter, it is so hard to hit somebody because...
You're going so fast.
Because you're going so fast, and then if you hit the ground, you're dead. So it's, like, you really have to see them from high up, which is also nice because you can, because the rendering distance is really good in this game.
Yes.
I'm always impressed when somebody can do it, and I've been in some games where I've just been mutilated by some aircraft, some aerial superiority. So
while you're in infantry, that's cool because it's not a different part of the level,
right?
It's just right above, so the X-wings can attack the AT-ATs when the shields are down.
Yeah, and that's what I do every time that it happens because you can do so much more damage with a fighter
with a photon bomb.
Yeah, especially like with the special weapons, you can do a lot more damage than you can as an infantryman. With few exceptions. And then you can also shoot up at the planes, which is a lot less effective. It's hard to hit them because they're so fast.
I've seen some videos where people have, like, no-scoped TIE fighter with a sniper rifle and destroy
Really?
But nice. I've only seen a few. So it's not that common. However, the Battlefront Beta, the Walker Assault, I didn't have a very high opinion of.
Yeah.
But now that I know of this new strategy, I might change my opinion. The reason I didn't like it was because it just seemed like the rebels were overpowered all the time. Or underpowered. They were getting overwhelmed by the Empire.
Yeah.
Because whenever I sign in as the Empire,
we would win.
Because it switches every time.
Yeah.
It goes back and forth. So I'm just like, I'm on the winning team. I don't have to do anything, and I'll win.
Mm-hmm. Also, the wait time between like rounds is really short.
Yeah. For 20 people on each side, for 40 people in the lobby,
it's like 30
short.
seconds. I feel like it's not very long, which I just now realized is kind of different. I know there are a lot of games where you exit out back into a lobby and then you wait like 3 minutes or a couple minutes and then you start a new round. At least in the beta, how they have it set up right now, it turns out games pretty quickly.
Yeah, you don't go to a new lobby. But there is like a create a class, a create a soldier type thing. But the game loads up, but you can still create a soldier once the game has started.
Yeah.
But once you spawn into the game, you can no longer create a soldier.
You can change your weapon. You can change your blaster. But you cannot change your cards.
Your equipment.
Your hand, I think is how they call it.
They call it a hand. It's just cards of equipment that you have. So, thermal detonator, jetpack, sniper rifle, whatever.
Ion shield, whatever.
Yeah. So you can create all that even while the game has started, but once you spawn in, you can no longer change it.
Yes. So far,
I don't think I'm going to buy it, honestly. We were talking about this, and I said some cool things.
Yeah.
But I just don't expect big things from this. I don't expect there to be a lot of levels. I don't expect there to be a lot of different opportunities for it. I don't think I'm going to enjoy it that much. Battlefield games have never really been for me. Yeah.
I mean, on the flip side, I've been a Battlefield fan for quite a while, but since Battlefield 2. Some people have said this is just going to be Battlefield reskinned, which I don't feel like that's the case.
I don't feel it either.
Because the weapons, the way they work, there's like travel time is way different than a bullet. The third-person view is a pretty legitimate third-person view.
There's a first-person option and a third-person option, and you can change on the fly. You just hold down the D-pad and you change. Third person, I think, is much better than first person.
Yeah. I've tried both ways. I kind of stick to first person just because I've been having trouble aiming in third person. But there's a trade-off to it. You don't get nearly as wide field of vision when you use first person. I think that's a huge advantage of third person. Either way, I mean, people were saying it was going to be Battlefield reskinned, but for me, like, even if it was Battlefield reskinned, I would still buy it because I love Battlefield and I love Star Wars.
Right.
I think the only thing that's kind of got me bummed out is the lack of a campaign mode. I know they've announced that there's going to be, I believe the count was 11 maps.
That's not much. Like, 11 isn't that much.
Okay.
Biggest competition for Battlefield / Battlefront is Call of Duty.
Yeah.
Call of Duty launches normally with 12 maps, and there's 4 DLCs, each with 4 maps.
Yeah.
So they double their map numbers. Where 11 isn't that much.
Which is why 11 is one less than 12. So at launch, it has one less map than Call of Duty. I don't know. However, Call of Duty does have a campaign mode, which
except for
I know
old gen, last gen, no campaign.
There was in Advanced Warfare.
No, in Black Ops 3.
Black Ops 3.
Yeah,
there's no campaign mode
on PS3 and Xbox 360. There's no campaign.
Wow.
Which is funny. But.
That is interesting. So they're just doing a multiplayer mode?
Yeah.
Interesting. I don't know how I feel about that. But anyways, I'm excited for Battlefront. I'm going to buy it. I'm going to get it. I'm going to destroy that game. But again, I understand Tony's reservations. I mean, if it has Star Wars on it, I'm probably going to buy it. So.
We haven't talked about this yet, but Battlefield 3 and Battlefield 4 both had miserable launches.
They did.
They were full of glitches.
I remember.
Full of server problems.
I was so mad at Battlefield 4.
Right.
I was so mad.
And it took them months and months to fix the servers.
They did.
So EA already has a bad rep.
It does.
And DICE already have a bad rep for bringing out a game that's not quite done yet. Right. However, with the beta, they get a lot more information. I think they've done betas before, but only on PC.
Right. This is a much bigger beta, and they've extended it an extra day.
Right.
To do some testing for like stress loading. I think is what they're talking about. So I've read that the extra day is going to be very spotty in terms of connectivity, but it's still an extra day. So
anyway,
that's exciting.
I have a bad taste in my mouth from DICE and EA and Battlefield based on 3 and 4.
Yeah.
Because they have awful
launches. Yeah.
Developer support.
Mm-hmm.
Battlefront I've enjoyed.
Mm-hmm.
Now that I've gotten to... Well, the game is very arcadey. It's not very competitive.
Yeah.
So you die a lot. You have the opportunity to die a lot. You also have the opportunity to kill a lot.
Yep.
But if you get mad at every time you die, like some people do, it's probably not the game for you.
And Walker Assault 2, some of the larger scale battles, you can die in the dumbest ways, like which I'm okay with because I sometimes am the one killing you in that case. I went 48 and 9 in one of the maps because I got behind the spawn point and got in a turret as an Imperial and just like wreaked havoc on the rebels, and I didn't know where it was coming from. So because of the largeness of some of the battles, it's easy to like sneak away and like snipe people or like get up all these kills, and you can feel like it's really cheap. I've died a lot in my spawn zone.
Spawns are really bad.
Yeah, and I hope they work on that. But
specifically they have the option. You go in with a partner, so you and another partner. So if we were both playing, we'd be partners.
Yeah.
If I die, I can spawn on you. No matter where you are, I can spawn on you. If you're in the middle of a battle with 3 enemies, I spawn on you. There's just an extra person for them to kill.
Yeah.
That adds to the spawn problems. But however, that was my choice to spawn on you.
Right. I wouldn't consider that a problem. I think that could be a strength.
I don't think that's a problem at all. But I'm saying some people will spawn on their partners and they'll die immediately. Well, like, I got killed off the spawn. Like,
well, they're dumb. They're dumb. You can, if you just hover over the spawn on your partner, it shows you where they are, so you can kind of make that judgment yourself. But people just spam the button. I do too. So
but the regular spawn, you can get
regular spawn is so bad.
Some regular spawns spawn you in front of a tower turret.
Yeah,
and you get destroyed.
Yeah. Well, yeah. Especially, I mean, if the Empire's at your spawn point, you're screwed, and that's what happens with like ATSTs and stuff. Sometimes you'll spawn and there's an ATST standing like right in front of you, and he'll just destroy you. So that happens, and that's kind of annoying. Hopefully they can fix that moving forward. Overall, though, I don't think it was an utter failure. I think I've enjoyed the experience. I think it's been fun. It makes me excited for the release. So, I mean, as our listener, make your own decision based off Tony and I's opinion.
I think it went really well. I think some of the more haters are going to say that it was a good game. However, I do not. I have to see what happens before I buy it.
So, your opinion, like I already pre-ordered it. I'm going to buy it. Would you be interested, or are you open to buying it after it's released and you read some reviews?
Maybe.
Or less borrow it or something.
Less read reviews and more just like watch streams and watch YouTube.
Yeah.
There are only so many guns in it right now. Mm-hmm. Getting used to the bullet travel time, the laser travel time, because they're all laser guns.
The Blastus.
Is hard to get used to, but the more you play it, the better it is.
Yeah, you get a feel for it.
However, I already think I have so many other games that I'm going to buy before Battlefront that I might just not have time.
Yeah, we should have a podcast about November. My wallet is just going to be exploded. My wallet's going to die. I'm going to have no spending money. I'm not going to be able to eat
next time.
In the future.
Next time, Justin
complains about being underpaid.
Justin's hungry.
Underpaid gamers. Look what I did. I made a joke. All right.
Okay, on to the next topic.
The swap.
We swapped games. You had The Witcher 3.
I did.
And I bought Metal Gear Solid 5, The Phantom Pain.
Phantom Pain.
I tried to convince you to switch me.
He did, and I had to postpone it because I was just then getting into The Witcher, which I think Tony had a similar experience in terms of buy-in in the game, as in motivation to play the game.
Kind of, it happened for you. But your experience with Metal Gear Solid 5, what do you think so far?
Right, so far, I mean, from the start, the first night that I had it,
Well, time out. Have you played the games before, and do you know where the story's at?
All right, my experience with Metal Gear Solid before starting Phantom Pain, at one point, I think I still own Metal Gear Solid 4. However, because of the length of the cutscenes, I stopped playing.
Yep.
I think I put like maybe 4 hours on it, and then I was just like 2 of those hours was cutscenes, and I was like, this is so dumb. So I ended up not finishing that game and had a pretty low opinion of it. I have friends that I grew up with who absolutely loved the PlayStation 1 Metal Gear Solids and the PlayStation 2 one, but I had never played it. So I have a very limited experience. I did look up a wiki about the storyline, and I've read through it multiple times, and I'm still confused on what happened because the storyline seems very complex.
Really?
The overall narrative, the general narrative is like understandable. It's like you're stuck between the Cold War, between the U.S. and the USSR, and then you've got this third country it's not even a country, like a private army basically, and you're doing all this espionage, and then there's random like supernatural stuff going on. That apparently is not supernatural, but definitely looks supernatural because the whole first opening scene, holy cow, scared me to death.
There's some really good YouTube videos that recap because Metal Gear Solid 5 is storyline based, is like the third game in the story, third or fourth. Yeah. Whereas the Metal Gear Solid 4, Against the Patriots, is the very last in the series. Yeah. So 5 comes before 4.
Yeah.
So you don't need to play 4 to play 5.
Yeah.
But there's some quick, 15-minute recap videos on YouTube that explain
how everything.
Also, there's a website. I can't remember what it's called, but it is very detailed and it lists what has happened in every single game with every single character until the Phantom Pain, which I read, which helped me a lot.
So either way, story seems a little bit complex for me, just like picking up out of the blue and not having much experience. However, the complexity and confusingness of the story, like before I even started the game, was quickly shooed away by Abated.
Hey, he plays Luigi in Super Smash Brothers Melee.
Oh my gosh.
You got top 8, big
Super Smash Brothers! Gotta love it.
I'll talk about Smash all day.
The intro scene, like the prologue, man, that is so intense. Spoiler alert if you haven't played the game.
Spoiler alert. But it's only the first 15 minutes, so not really.
So you wake up in a hospital, and you're like 9 years in a coma, and you wake up, and basically everything bad starts happening, and this person tries to assassinate you. Then there's a dude who looks just like you, who is a clone of you, I think is the story. Snake. I mean, there's Big Boss, and there's Snake.
I don't remember this. I don't remember the prologue that much.
Either way,
but I thought he was a figment of your imagination, but I'm not sure.
He is. I'm pretty sure he is a clone.
I know that in the story, Big Boss, which I think happens in this game, but Big Boss is cloned. Yeah. He has 2 or 3 people.
Liquid Snake, right?
Liquid Snake, Solid Snake, and I think one more, but I can't remember who it is.
Yeah.
So I don't think that clone in the hospital is him.
Then I have no idea who that was.
I think it might just be a figment of your imagination, but I could be wrong.
Either way, you wake up in this hospital with an assassin trying to kill you. You have to sneak out while all these paramilitary guys are coming in and basically just massacring all these hospital patients.
It reminded me of the very first episode of The Walking Dead.
Yeah, oh my gosh, it's so intense, and you're hiding underneath the beds as the people above them are getting shot. And I at this point, my lights were off. I had my headset on. I was enthralled by this game, and then supernatural stuff started happening.
Yeah,
these guys are walking through the hallway, and I'm hiding amongst all these dead bodies.
Yes,
and I'm and they're popping a cap in each person as they walk slowly, just making sure everybody's dead. And I'm next. Then all of a sudden, this fire starts.
Well, your teammate pees his pants first.
Yeah, the figment of the imagination, his clone.
It's either that
our
or
theory.
The person you're with.
The person you're with pees his pants, and so they
out of fear, not because he had a lot to drink.
Exactly. And basically, the hallway behind them starts catching on fire, and this demon-looking guy.
He has horns.
Literally walks out of the fire, and then starts freaking out guys. The guys obviously would shoot him, which is what I would do in the situation. And the dude just absorbs the bullets and then kills them.
The paramilitary guys.
The paramilitary guys.
The bad guys up to this point.
And so then you start running away, and this guy's just, like, walking really, like, menacingly and slowly and follows you. And then you get off into this, like, lobby area, and then there's just, like, I mean, there's more paramilitary guys, like, killing people, and you're, like, hiding. Then all of a sudden there's, like, floaty small child thing with long sleeves, which I know that sounds really dumb, but it's super scary.
It is
gas
really
mask and, like, flames at the end of the long sleeves that are hanging. She, like, makes an earthquake or something. I can't remember. She has some power. And just starts, like, killing everybody. Then the flame guy comes back. And so you're just, like, hiding this whole time, trying not to die. And then a freaking tank goes through the front door and takes on the fire dude. Like, 10 or 11 of these paramilitary guys are, like, shooting at this flame demon. And the guy just, like, rips through all of them, destroys them without even trying. Then he takes on a tank and destroys the tank. And you finally get out of the hospital, and it's just so intense. And then you end up getting chased around by him on a freaking flaming horse.
And that's just the prologue.
And that's the prologue. I was so stressed out. Man, it was intense.
Man, does it say anything that I've played the game, and I have forgotten most of the prologue because so many other things, cool things have happened?
That says a lot.
Does that make you want to play it more?
It does. Right now, so I played the prologue. I've done 4 of the storyline missions. I've done 2 of the side ops. It's not super far into the game, maybe like 3 or 4 hours. I've done some just random roaming around and like searching for stuff. So far I've been impressed. It's a beautiful game. I've never seen Afghanistan so pretty.
Okay, so specifically I want to talk about this. Because you're in a coma, because you're in a helicopter accident, you have, like, you're missing an arm, and you have some debris still left in you. You have scars all over your face.
Yeah.
You have one specific piece of debris in your forehead.
Yeah.
If you do evil things, like get headshots on people instead of knocking them out, that grows larger into a horn.
Really?
Yeah. So it's a little thing.
I had no idea.
I don't think you really notice it until later on in the game, but it's very short and stubby in the very beginning, and if you start killing people instead of knocking them out, and, like, other things that you can do later in the game, it grows larger and larger into a horn.
Nice.
And people already refer to you as the demon. Like the Afghan people, the PF soldiers, private forces.
So, I mean, overall, so far, the game is beautiful. When I do main storyline missions, I feel really stressed because it's an espionage sneaking game, and I don't want to be caught. So, and I feel like I can always handle myself if I do get caught, but it's an espionage game. Like, you don't want to get caught. I specifically think the support helicopter is a little bit overpowered. You can, like, call in a support helicopter, and then every single bad guy looks at it and starts shooting at it, and you can do whatever you want. So that's how I've been using it, at least. And then I feel like the controls are clunky, but I think that's just because I'm not used to Metal Gear Solid games. And also, I've been switching back and forth between Battlefront Beta and Metal Gear Solid, which have totally different control schemes. So I feel like it's clunky at this point. But I'm not very far into it, and that's not the only game I've been playing. So I'm going to give it a little bit of leeway for now.
Okay.
So that's something I'll come back to, I think.
Well, come back to you a couple weeks.
Yeah. How do you feel about The Witcher 3?
I had a week off from work.
The Wild Hunt.
So I played The Witcher 3. I just started it. Mm-hmm. When I first started it, there was so much to do. I got a little overwhelmed. Mm-hmm. Also, it's super hard to level up in that game. Super hard? Super hard to level up in the game if you don't do story missions. Yeah. So, like, side missions give you, like... So there's 1,000 XP points every level. Side missions give you, like, 50. Yeah, I know. Or story missions give you, like, 350. Mm-hmm. So you can do all-day side missions and not level up. Exactly. Which I did on accident. Kind of. Right in the beginning. Right. I was playing in the beginning. I played for, like, 4 hours. Yeah. And one of the story missions, it tells you, you should be this level for it. And it said, be level 3. And I was at level 2, so I'm like, well, most games when they recommend a level, you should be like 1 or 2 higher. Right, so make it easier. Went around and leveled up to level 4. It took me like 4 hours. Yeah. Went and did the mission that was level 3, and super easy. Yeah. Like, no contest at all. Not a challenge. So then later on, I found out, like, you can be like 5 levels under and still do it, and it won't be a problem. Yeah. Which would be level -1. Right. What? You said 5 levels under. Oh, under that one specifically. No, because every mission tells you what level you should be. It does. So I did that, and after I did that one, the story kind of picked up, but I was still getting kind of tired of it. Mm-hmm. Played a little bit longer. There's 3 different geographical locations. Yes. Velen, Novigrad, and Skellige. Yes. I just finished Velen, I think. Yeah, the swamp area. It's very swampy. It was really swampy and boring. I just finished the Bloody Barons quest.
Yeah.
Which was interesting.
It's a little dark.
It is dark. I'll talk about that with you, I think, later, so I don't spoil it for everybody.
Okay.
But we did that, and then it's so weird because the way it progresses, Velen is like the first place you go to, Novigrad is the second place you go to, and Skellige is the third place you go to.
Yeah.
But in Velen, during one of the main story missions, you get the opportunity to go to Skellige.
Yeah.
Right off the bat. I'm like, I don't want to go there. I don't want to skip all of Novigrad and do this BS.
Yeah.
So I had the opportunity to go from Velen to Skellige. I didn't take it. I went to Novigrad. Yeah. However, I just ended in Novigrad because I spent so much time in Velen. Yeah. And I did a whole bunch of things, and there was a lot of stuff.
There's so much.
And you can get Witcher gear. I got a whole set of Witcher gear, which is really awesome. I did a whole bunch of side missions. Almost everything, not almost everything, because there's a lot of stuff I haven't done. But I also got tired of doing the same stuff over and over again. Yeah, which is just traveling, running, or riding your horse somewhere, killing something, and coming back. So I finished Velen, finished the story in Velen, and I went up to Novigrad, started the main story mission, and just stopped playing.
Isn't Novigrad so much prettier than Velen?
I've only been in the city.
Okay.
So it's a really nice city. It's like an Assassin's Creed city.
Yeah.
Which is really nice, whereas Velen is just like...
Yeah, I feel like Novigrad's like a Renaissance town.
Right. So the setting's really cool.
Yeah.
My favorite gameplay mechanic so far is Gwent. Gwent is the card game they have in the game. And for whatever reason, it's so much fun.
I did not get into it, so I'm happy that you got into it.
There's these Gwent storylines where you have to go and play cards against innkeepers, and if you beat them, you get special rare cards, and you put those in your deck, and you play these other guys, get rare cards. Completely destroyed everybody in Velen.
Yeah.
And now I'm on to Novigrad. And I'm thinking about keeping playing just so I can play more Gwent.
Oh my gosh. I'm not surprised.
But that's super fun.
So if you like trading card games, Witcher 3
is for you.
There it is.
Let's talk about horses in both of these games, because both games have a horse.
They both have horses.
Roach in Witcher 3.
You do.
And you have D-Horse.
D-Horse.
And Metal Gear Solid 5.
What a crappy name. In both games. Roach and D-Horse.
D-Horse stands for Diamond Horse, because
which makes
Diamond Dogs.
Yeah.
But they name everything D.
So once you get crappy name.
Once you get names, once you get everything else, and it's all named D, you're like, D-Horse makes sense.
It's a pretty
But at the very beginning, you're like, this is stupid.
It's a pretty dumb name.
I get it.
See, with the D, I said dumb.
I get it. What do you think about the horse mechanics in both games?
Well, I will say that in The Witcher 3, I was frustrated with the horse mechanics because there are many times where I wanted to get on the horse, and I would sprint to it very quickly, and it would run away from me, which was really annoying. And it doesn't come right up to you, which is kind of annoying. You have to, a lot of times it'll come within like 30 feet of you, and then you have to go to it. Which in like a field is not that big of a deal, but when you're in like the woods or like in a cliffy area, sometimes you have to go around. It's inconvenient sometimes. They should bring them right up to you. So, mildly annoying.
That's in The Witcher 3.
The Witcher 3. I would say in Metal Gear Solid, it's a little bit better. I won't say that I'm like really great at the horse mechanics. I do love how you can hide on your horse, because I definitely just like started galloping towards a Soviet like outpost thing, and the guy started seeing me, and I just like hit on the other side of the horse, and he stopped seeing me. I just started laughing. I was like, "That's so funny." But he comes up right to you, which is nice. And I've been told you can like run, and he'll come up, and you can just like keep running. I haven't experienced that yet.
If you're just sprinting in a straight line, you can even be sprinting sideways.
Yeah.
And you call D-Horse, he'll sprint up next to you, and you have the opportunity to like jump on it. Very similar to in the Two Towers when Legolas is using his elven eyes, and he finds the scouts, and then Gimli comes up on the horse behind him, and Legolas jumps on the horse and goes to the battle.
Around like a boss.
So in Metal Gear Solid 5, you can sprint, the horse comes right up to you, jump on it, you keep going at the same speed.
Yeah.
Whereas The Witcher 3, you're sprinting, you call the horse, you have to turn around, walk back to it, tell it how stupid it is, and then get on it and leave.
Dumb, 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 and dumb.
Literally, there's so many times in The Witcher 3 where I just find it more convenient to run somewhere than it is to ride my horse.
To get on the horse. Yes.
Which is why I'm so tired of it.
So maybe we should call Roach the D-Horse, because it's a dumb horse. That was a bad joke.
Roach is a stupid name.
I apologize. to our listeners, about that terrible joke.
Anyway, so The Witcher 3, I got to the second location. I don't really have a lot of passion for playing it, which I also think kind of stems from the from the Battlefront Beta.
Yeah.
Because I haven't played a first-person shooter since like March.
Which was Destiny.
Yeah, Destiny and Call of Duty. So I very much like first-person shooters. So now that this game has come out, my love for first-person shooters has come back.
Reawakened.
But Witcher is not that. Metal Gear Solid is not that either.
It's not. Neither.
So I'm super excited for November when I get a new first-person shooter.
Yep.
But because of that, the fast pacing of Battlefront, it has made the Witcher seem that much slower.
Yes.
So that's where I'm at. I don't know if I'll play it anymore. I'll probably get on a little bit, see what's up. But
there it is.
I don't know what happens.
The game swap. That's where we're at with it.
We gotta keep playing. You gotta keep playing Metal Gear Solid 5 and tell me how awesome it is.
I know. I mean, I'm getting into it. But that's where I'm at right now. Just a couple hours in.
Yep.
So far, I'm impressed. So I think that's the end of this podcast.
Yep.
If you have any questions or any comments, feel free to leave them on SoundCloud. Feel free also to tweet at us at UP Gamers Podcast on Twitter.
Yeah, we have email, underpaidgamerspodcast@gmail. You can send us letters or emails.
Yeah, we had this discussion. You don't call emails letters. That's not a thing, Tony.
You can. You've got mail.
Electronic letters.
You've got mail.
Everyone.
What do you get in the mail? You get letters. So you can send us letters.
Electronic letters.
Or emails.
Order the emails.
To underpaidgamerspodcast@gmail. We would love to hear from you. We're on iTunes as well. Again, Underpaid Gamers. We're there. You can rate us out of 5 stars. The only option is 5.
5 stars is the number 1 option.
Yes.
The number 2 option is not to rate us because, well, it's 5 or nothing.
4 or 5 I'll take.
I'll take a 4. I might be a little bit upset, but that's okay.
Anyway, we really want to build a community with you.
Yes.
So iTunes is a great place for that. Twitter is a fantastic place for that.
Yes.
Again, email us if you want to direct contact us.
Mm-hmm.
And then SoundCloud.
Yeah. And I will say that last week with, one of our last podcasts with the introduction of our new theme song, we got some pretty positive feedback from our community about our new theme song. So good job, me.
Good job, you.
Good job, me.
All right.
That's it. So like and share.
Thanks.
Thanks, yeah.
Thanks, yeah.
Thanks, yeah.